A Leo woman expects that you're going to treat her like royalty, and you basically kind of have to treat her like royalty. A Leo woman is larger than life, and she walks a little bit too close to the sun and mostly gets away with it. When it comes to romantic relationships with Leo women, she's not just like the side quest of the video game. She is the main story, she's the main character, and she's gonna expect that you approach it as such. You can't really half-ass things. You can't really have one foot in and one foot out, which is actually a pretty reasonable approach when you're in the early dating phases or you're not official or you just kind of met this person, but that is a little bit what you're working with. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but hey, there's a reason that you're attracted to Leo woman. She has this effortless ability to charm, but she doesn't quite charm in the same way that, say, a Libra does. Or maybe she just does it with less words. She's not gonna use a million words and flowery language. She's going to charm you just by the way that she walks into a room, by the confidence that she carries, by her presence, by just simply the kind of aura that she puts out and that people can sense when they're around her. And Leo does really want to make a good impression, right? They think about how to do that. It's not, I say it's effortless because Leo women are gonna yell at me if I say there's a lot of effort that goes into it. It really is effortless, okay? It's effortless. But you do want to charm people. You do want a good reputation. You do want people to respect your confidence and your beauty and everything about you. You do want to be a little bit on that stage of life in everyday situations. That's what I mean a little bit by being larger than life, by walking a little bit too close to the sun. Some people could do that and they would just come across as egotistical or vain or annoying, and I'm sure that Leo women will rub off in those ways on some people, but by and large, Leo women, they get away with it. People know that they're larger in life, but they love them for it and they're impressed by it. The first thing you should know if you're interested or attracted to a Leo woman or you're in the early dating stages is that an impression to a Leo woman, that is the impression that you make, really matters. How you come across matters. And this is, whether they're talking about a potential long-term partner or just someone that they want to date or be around. Leo women, in all cases, they want to be with someone that they can show off, someone that's worthy or they consider worthy to walk side by side with them, to walk with arms linked. Larger than life Leo women are a little bit of a performance. Their life is a little bit of a performance. And if you want to be their partner, you got to be part of that performance too, and you got to be up to snuff. You have to be all in and give the Leo woman the grand, regal, romantic experience. They're really attracted to, a very traditional, a very heartfelt, a very ooey gooey kind of romantic courting stage. And that's gonna continue throughout the whole relationship. Just texting some daily I love yous or reminders, hey baby, you're mine, I love you, not going to cut it. Going to the supermarket 15, 20 minutes before Valentine's Day date and getting the very traditional box of chocolates and flowers, not gonna cut it. Too generic, too basic, not enough thoughtfulness, not enough specialness for Leo woman. That mindset is just not going to cut it with them. They want to really be seen and appreciated, and they want to be witnessed, and they want someone that is going to be able to communicate that appreciation and validate Leo woman in very specific ways. So show them that you did their homework. Show them how you appreciate them and the relationship and the ways in which they're meaningful to you. So you have to be extremely emotionally intelligent. You need to learn the art of expressing love languages, learn her love languages, know about love languages. Typically, Leo women are going to have words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, acts of service. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. Leo women want all the love languages. They want all the love, which is really true with all relationships, but especially with Leo women. So tell her how much you love her and how you love her every day. There's a difference between saying I love you and articulating what you appreciate about them. I appreciate how last Tuesday you made me lunch with my favorite sandwich, and I love love how you remembered specifically what kind it was, because I told you that like once. And when I pulled that sandwich out at lunch, it was such a surprise. And it's just like one of the many reasons why you're such a great and thoughtful partner. I really appreciate that you listen to me and that you do things like that. Those kind of specifics, literally. Because guess what? The great thing is that if you keep feeding that fire, Leo women are going to keep doing those amazingly loving things for you, right? They're going to keep putting your favorite sandwich in a surprise lunch. They are going to surprise you with gifts. They are going to show you physical affection. They are going to want to please you physically. All of the above. There's a saying I've heard on YouTube and like self-help channels that, treat someone like a celebrity and they will treat you like a fan. And on paper, that's really good advice, right? You always have to maintain your sense of self. You can't treat someone better than you're treating your own self. Otherwise, it's just not going to be sustainable. But moving away from like all the nerd technicality of this stupid saying, if you treat a Leo woman like a celebrity, she is one of those type of people that will treat you like a celebrity in return. Generally, right? Unhealthy, unevolved Leos can be more narcissistic and unthoughtful and egotistical, and they just want to be worshipped. But we're putting all that aside because all the signs can be jerks, all the signs can be unevolved, selfish assholes. Leo women really want to give you all of the loyalty and the love that they expect from you. Because for them, love really makes the world go round. It's such an important cog in their life story, and they want a real regal relationship to complement their really regal life. These people are bold. They do want to stand out. They can't help but stand out. And while they do love that attention and they do love that spot in the sunlight, it can be exhausting. There are holes sometimes in the facade, or there are insecurities within that air of confidence. And Leo really wants to feel safe. They want to feel truly appreciated, because it's hard for them and it's exhausting to sometimes be the person that they are. And when they are hot and tired and sweaty and weary and just beaten down from all that attention and stimulation of the world, they need to be held, they need to be protected, they need a private space to recharge. And they rely on their close, intimate partnerships to help do that. And I won't sugarcoat it, Leo women do need a lot of attention. So if you're someone that is more independent or gets kind of the icks from that, or feels like that's going to be a problem for you, maybe this is not the best sign to date or be in a relationship with. If you stop giving a Leo woman attention, it is just so existentially deflating. Or if she feels like you're pulling away, it puts them into absolute crisis mode, and they will claw and they will try to hold on, and it just makes them very unsettled. Give a lot of attention, give a lot of love at the beginning, and then slowly pull away or start acting different, or being hot and cold or inconsistent, and she goes from being this regal goddess to like this bog creature that is like the soul has left them and they have no desire to do anything. They don't have a desire to do chores or live, or it's deflating. It's immediately, as quick as you put out a fire, that's kind of what the effect is on the spirit of her. So be aware of that. When there is rejection, when there are breakups, when there are changes in feelings, it's absolutely devastating to a Leo woman. And I know they're probably going to refute that or not like hearing that, but it's just the nature of Leo energy. It doesn't like being rejected. It's a fixed sign that gives a lot of love. And I'm not saying that Leos won't rebound. I'm not saying that Leo women won't have the strength or, the sense of self to walk away from someone that's treating them badly, or from someone that doesn't want them. But I am saying if they do love someone a lot and have a lot of feelings for someone, and that person doesn't reciprocate, or they pull away, or they do reject them, it just is. It is an existential shock. It sucks. It's a gut punch for Leo. They hate it. It's devastating. It just is. And there's strength to overcome that, but that's just the initial general reaction. And you have to be okay and understand the fact that sometimes she does need a little bit of that validation, or she will get a little possessive, because if she senses something is moving away or you're pulling away, even if it's not actually happening, it can trigger intense emotions or fears. And so sometimes Leo women can act out or be a little bit dramatic or just cause a fight or make a stink about something that you don't even understand the source of, and you feel like you didn't do anything wrong. But the best approach here is just to lead with reassurance and understanding and love and compassion, and understand that that part of her that gets triggered, even though it causes her to do things that she doesn't like, or maybe to behave in a way that she regrets later or is embarrassed by, it's connected to her whole being, right? And you don't get the good without the bad. And so you have this very loving person, but sometimes she's going to get a little jealous, or she's going to wonder, who that person is that you're friends with at work or whatever. Sometimes there's going to be boundaries crossed in terms of her wanting to pry in and have answers. And you have to not bend those boundaries. You have to be reasonable, but you have to be able to communicate and navigate them with her. Know which ones you want to maintain, communicate them, be consistent and reliable about it, be trustworthy. But again, don't hit her when she's down or punish her for being emotional or anything like that. You need to soothe her. You need to be confident enough to not let that kind of thing knock you off course or let you get upset, right? Because you need to be confident and you need to be a bit of a rock, which can be a tall ask, right? Someone that is super sensitive and emotionally intelligent enough to really understand and appreciate her needs, but is, confident and hard enough to own it and to also not be knocked off course by someone else's emotions. Again, if you react with more detachment or wanting to take more independence, it's going to cause waves in the relationship. And that is something to keep in mind. They expect a lot of loyalty in the relationship, like 110%. They're going to give 110% loyalty, and they expect it from you. So this is not typically a sign that tolerates breaches of trust, lying, any kind of deceptive behavior. No relationship handles that well if, it's behavior that breaks the contract or the understanding between the parties, but especially not for Leo, because that is going to immediately cause a fracture in the foundation of her sense of the relationship, her confidence in it, and it is going to be tough to overcome it. They can take things very personally because they're so sensitive and because they are so relationship focused. And sometimes they can have these really big blowout fights or blowout arguments over something that you perceive as ultimately small or not justified. And this does get a little bit into maybe the shadow side of a Leo woman, or for Leo women that are watching this video, something that a growth area that you need to work on that's going to improve your relationships and is going to move you away from sometimes the shadow side of your zodiac sign. And that is mainly that you need to have your own creative outlets. As I've kind of gassed up Leo women and talked up what their needs are in a relationship, you have to realize that it's probably very unlikely that any one person is going to be able to do all those things that you need all the time. And people are imperfect and they are inhuman. And to have someone that's sensitive and very appreciative, sometimes means that they're going to be reactive when you want to cause a fight or you're not at your best. Or if you want someone that's going to be very unbothered by any conflict or, your emotionality, you have to realize maybe they're not going to be emotionally intelligent enough to always appreciate you in the way that you want to be appreciated. So there's always trade-offs. But I think the key is reminding yourself that you have a high need for expressing yourself, for being creative, for really feeling validated and seen for that specialness. And yes, a partner is going to see that and do that, but you have to be able to do that for yourself. And it's hard to do that for yourself unless you are pouring a lot of your love and energy into other things besides just a relationship. So creative projects, some kind of things where you can go and make yourself, you can go express yourself, where your individuality is celebrated, it's focused on, you can make something from it. With your individuality, you need to go out and make a mark on the world. You need to do something that is a celebration of your autonomy that doesn't depend on anyone else. What happens is, and sometimes you don't even realize it, is sometimes you put unreasonable expectations on partners and you can love in a way that's more conditional or more self-serving. And again, the line between different kinds of love is always moving and it's hard. And, we're always loving a little bit selfishly in some ways, but try and be aware as possible of doing things for another person because you specifically want to do them. And you do it with the expectation that you're not going to get something in return. Sometimes Leos can be very nice and be very generous to a partner because they're actually playing out and acting out and behaving out how they want to be loved by another partner, which is reasonable, but understand that people have different ways of showing it, and understand that it can be manipulative if you're always loving someone just because you're trying to get them to do certain things for you. On the scales of manipulation, right, it's not the worst kind, but manipulation is still manipulation. If Leo women don't have that, again, they're going to place unrealistic expectations on their partner. They're also going to subtly start viewing either their partner or their children too much as extensions of their self. That's always going to be a little bit of a thing. Whoever Leo women associate with, it is a reflection of their tastes and their choices and their identity, but also realize that other people need space to be them. And just because someone else does something or behaves or dresses in a certain way, you can love them from that. And doesn't have anything to do with you. It's not always personal. Leo women, you need to sometimes understand that people are going to set boundaries with you. And in the context of relationships, boundary setting is actually really healthy behavior. And it's hard for you sometimes to not take those boundaries personally. A Leo doesn't want to be caged in. They don't like boundaries. They don't like boxes. But you need to pick your battles and understand that it's not always about you. It just isn't always about you. And that's a little bit of a soul lesson for you as well. Lastly, you need to, I think it does serve you to sometimes seek out partners that are somewhat strong or do have some traits of independence, because it's a way that's going to challenge you and help you grow and make the most of your Leo energy. I'm not saying to put a square peg in a round hole and go with someone that's super independent and doesn't really value relationships in the same way, but think about your opposite sign, think about Aquarius energy, think about sometimes applying a little bit more of a detached approach in certain situations, because you're never going to you're not trying to not be a Leo. You need to embrace that larger than life nature, but sometimes deliberately thinking about, or not necessarily being afraid of people that do things or approach things in a way that's different than you is helpful, and it's uncomfortable, but it can be really, really challenging. And I say this all to say that if you're seeking a partner that's always going to be passive or be subservient to you, or is just completely going to worship the ground that you walk on at all times, that may feel good in the beginning, but you're going to get bored of it. It's not going to serve your long-term growth, and you're not really going to respect it, right? It's kind of like the dopamine hit. It feels good in the beginning, but if you have someone that just always is sacrificing themselves for your own validation, both people are going to get a little bit existentially fried from it over time, and it's not going to end well, and you're going to find yourself needing it from other places. Major TLDR lessons for dating a Leo woman: I would say always validate and appreciate her in a specific way, and don't take her for granted, right? You have to keep finding ways to show that love, renewing vows, going on date nights. Continue to treat the relationship and the romance like it's a fire that needs to be tended. Also, never humiliate a Leo woman in public, right? They have a really strong sense of their image, their public image. They do care about reputation, and they also hate rejection or conflict or any sort of fighting from a partner. And to combine those things into one is one of the worst things that you can do. If you have a very public blowout fight with a Leo woman, she probably is never going to forgive you for it. It's really damaging. So keep that stuff private, right? Keep it private. Lastly, never completely like abandon or use the silent treatment or go cold on a Leo woman. Yes, Leo women do need to learn a little bit how to cultivate a sense of safety and well-being for themselves, independent of everything. But there's always fights in relationships and people are upset about them, and that's completely normal. Don't use really avoidant tactics. It's not going to end well. It's going to add a lot of lighter fluid to bad conflicts. If you need space from a Leo woman, just communicate it. Say, you know, I need this space for this amount of time, and let's come back to the table at this time and talk about it. Just set expectations and communicate, but don't just completely go cold. Don't completely go silent. Don't completely walk away and completely shut down on a Leo woman, because also not really going to end well. Hopefully this is helpful.